So welcome to this practical SQL Skills course. This course is actually a follow-on from my original beginner to intermediate course, and obviously this takes it up now to the next level, and we're going to cover some more advanced subjects. So what's in the course? Well, as I just mentioned, it's a follow-on from the beginner to intermediate course. If you haven't taken that, it's probably worth a look, because this course does expect some level of SQL competency, and we're actually going to dive deeper into some Microsoft SQL Server concepts and code. The key thing is we're going to look at working with very large data sets, because obviously the key here is we're going to look at how to optimize and the effect of optimizations on large data. So it's kind of more aligned to real world. So this is really based, it's not based on theory, but it's based on real world experience. So up until the end of 2014, I was working at the London Stock Exchange, and typically the databases there, we've got systems where they're growing by 6 to 10 million records a day. Okay, so that's like a very large data set. So obviously optimization plays a very key part in that. And a lot of that data is to do with regulation of recording of trades and that sort of thing. So we actually have to publish those figures. So I just want to hop across and show you that for a second. So I was working on a product called Univista, and what happened is new legislation came in, European legislation, and basically on the 12th of February 2014 it meant that firms had to report a lot of their trades to a central repository. There's a number of repositories around the world, of which the London Stock Exchange I think is one of 6. So just on a search for that, if I just click on this link here and do trade repository public data, so you'll see as part of EMIR, and these are the regulations that came in, trade repository needs to provide public access to the aggregated data set. So you can actually download this aggregated data, but more importantly they have to publish their statistics. And I'm just going to scroll down and show you here how much data has actually been submitted. So as I say, this went live on the 12th of Feb 2014, and as you can see here, these are the different asset classes that are used in the financial services industry, but we're looking at roughly, you say, 6 to 10 million transactions a day are being reported. If you look at this figure here, it's quite staggering. It's 2.4 billion records that have been submitted to Univista. So, you know, we're talking massive data sets here. We're not talking 200,000. I've worked in companies where they think 500,000 is a large data set. It's nothing compared to what is been going on. And Univista sits on top of Microsoft SQL Server. So these are massive data sets, and this is, you know, based on the work that I've had to do with clients when they're working with large amounts of data to provide reports in a timely manner. So as I said, optimization is pretty key when you're dealing with that amount of data. So in terms of the course, obviously you are going to need a good working knowledge of basic SQL and using SQL Server Management Studio, and we're going to start off by looking at table joins and how to modify data using joins. We're then going to look into, again, a common scenario in SQL Server is how do I get data, say load it from a CSV file into SQL Server, and then we'll look at how you can use indexes to optimize the performance of your queries, and then we'll move on to look at what's called windowed functions and common table expressions. We'll also go a bit more into transact SQL to write stored procedures and functions, and then we'll look at the triggers and temporary tables, and then finally we'll look at something that SQL Server provides, something called execution plans, as a way of determining how to improve slow running queries. So with all that, let's get started.